Peace everyone, Unmask Art here, and welcome back to another Art Club exclusive project. This one I actually did a while ago and totally forgot about the footage from it. And strangely enough, forgetting about it, this is actually one of my favorite colored pencil drawings that I did this year. So I'm glad I rediscovered the footage so that I could make this time-lapse video. This one was a request. Few of the art club members wanted to do a portrait of a younger person, and so I found this lovely reference photo of this adorable little girl. And the idea for the background here, as opposed to filling in the entire background, I didn't want to leave it without a background, so I wanted to do something. And instead of covering up the entire piece of paper, because that's not what I wanted to focus on for this project, I decided that I wanted it to look like the background was sort of colored in by a child. So a little bit scribbly around the edges and just random. And I think that it worked really well with this project. I like the way that the background came together. So I chose a few colors for the background that I knew would be complementary to the colors I intended on using for the portrait itself. As you'll later see, her sweater is very bright red, and so I utilized the greens in the background as a complement to the subject. And I did a few layers with my pencils here. I mainly just used a couple shades of green and black. And then I used solvent and a paintbrush to blend it out. You can see that as I blend it out, the colors get more rich as the paper gets covered and just looks better overall. But I leave that background, or the edge of that background, looking like a scribble because I thought it looked nice. After I finished that, I come into the face, and the way that I approached this portrait was very unlike previous portraits that I've done lessons on. And part of the change was to break it down easier. I wanted this portrait to be broken down in a way that really minimizes the amount of technical skill required to do it. And so essentially the way that I broke down the skin in particular for this project is sort of a paint by numbers. And so I utilized 4 colors for the first stage of working on her skin tones. And I left the nose blank because I wanted to approach that rather complex part of the face separately than the rest of the face. And so while I was giving this lesson, I remember reminding all the people following along to apply these colors exactly the way that I'm applying them. They don't look the greatest at this stage, and I just kept reminding them, I know that it doesn't look really great right now, but keep using just these few colors and build up the shapes. And then as you can see here, after I've established the shapes, I come back through with those same exact colors, and I just start softening the edges around those shapes. So instead of these hard edges, they become more gradient. And the face is not yet done, but the following day I decided to do the mouth and get that filled in. So I just start off with some black and some red to get some of that darker purple red, the shadow of the mouth. And then I use this really, really bright pink, and this pink looks extreme, I know, to start the foundation for the tongue and the lips and the gums and stuff. And the reason I went with this super bright pink is because the colors were very bright in the reference photo, but with layers of gray and other lesser toned colors on top, the lips start to balance out and the saturation levels don't seem so extreme. I know it looks like she's just wearing like the brightest pink red lipstick imaginable. But I can assure you that that was on purpose. You can see here, as I've started to blend out, I've already layered some of the gray on the pink. And so the pink has toned down quite significantly. But I leave it rather bright like this because the skin around the lips is quite dull. And so that sort of makes the lips artificially feel more saturated. After that, I get into the nose and I just talk about the important shape, structure, and the shadows that are being cast on the nose to establish the shape. It was relatively simple and straightforward. But after getting all of the skin filled in, this is where we come back through layer number 3. We start erasing those hard edges again, creating the gradients between the shadows and the highlights. Bridging the gap is what I usually refer to it as. And I'm still using the same colors, so I haven't added any new colors to the face. If I remember correctly, I used this light yellowish color, 2 variations of a pink, kind of pink gray, and then this brown color. And then I did utilize a little bit of black in the darkest part of the shadows. At this stage now, I am using a new color, and this dark red maroon color is actually the color I layered in the shadows of the mouth. So I'm reusing the same colors that I've used already. I'm not introducing new ones. And this is something that I talk about all the time. I always talk about color harmony and the importance of not overextending your color choices for 2 reasons. One, when you have a million colors you're trying to juggle, it makes it harder for you to keep track of what colors you used where. And the other reason is when you forget which colors you used where, you often isolate certain colors, and it creates this unevenness in the color balance throughout your work. So I'm always stressing the benefit of using a limited quality or a limited color palette. Here in the face, you can start to see that I've introduced the pinks into the skin with that bright pink, which by the way is the same pink from the lips. And I also utilize some white just to raise those highlights a little bit on the cheeks and the forehead and the eyes, just to help bring those highlights forward. And then I, of course, darken some of the shadows on the face as well, before moving on to the hair. Now, the hair on this project was probably one of the easiest hair coloring pencil projects that I've ever done. And it's, again, due to the way I break down doing the hair. I use 2 colors here to quickly fill in the hair, but I'm establishing only 2 colors. So I have the really dark shadows that I used black, and then I used 2 colors of tan, one new color, and I believe the other one was the same color I used in the skin, to create this kind of blonde hair. And so I just have these 2 colors. Once I have those 2 colors established, this is where I come in with the darker brown. And you can see I'm putting in more shape of the hair. I'm focused on the big shapes, only the big shapes. No individual hairs were drawn in the making of this. So I established those shapes. Once I have those shapes established, and you can see they're very cut out. There's nothing amazing about this hair in this situation. And I recall reminding people or easing the minds of the people watching the live stream when I was doing this. Don't worry, the hair is going to look okay. I know it looks really, really awful. I remember saying that when I was working on this project. And it's because those big blocky shapes don't really come off as very attractive in hair. But once you see me bridge the gap between the darks and the highlights, and then I start to introduce thinner and smaller shapes into the hair. And then that is where the hair The texture just comes to life. The texture just comes out of nowhere, and it's due to two things. It's due to establishing those big shapes first, building the smaller shapes on top, bridging the gap between the shadows and the highlights, and then one of the most important is always coloring in the direction that the hair flows. And with just a few of those practical techniques and approaches for the hair, once you bring out the bright color to do a couple flyaways, the hair just comes to life. Now, I could have spent more time on the hair and made the hair more realistic, but I wasn't trying to make this a super realistic portrait. And in the end, I think that I accomplished the exact look I was going for. A little bit painterly, a tiny bit painterly, but still on the realm of realism enough that it looks good, in my opinion. And I focused most of my attention on the face because that's where most people are going to be looking. The last little bit of this project is, of course, putting in the sweater. And the sweater was a really good subject to bring up patterns and texture and how to create them, how to approach them. And the sweater is a perfect example here because I focus just on establishing the colors and the base colors. The values and the base colors is most important. Once I have that established, you can see in the little button area that once those colors were established, I just came back in with the black and added the texture. And you'll see that once I get everything else done, I just come back in with my darker colors and I start putting in the sort of knitted, threaded texture to give the sweater the material. And so here I'm using a darker red to start putting in some of the thread lines and thread texture. And it's very subtle. I'm not doing it really, really obvious or anything. And I talk about that. I talk about the importance of just subtlety. Sometimes when you see textures, you overemphasize them in your drawings and colorings and paintings and all that because you see them in the reference, but they're not necessarily that obvious to the point that you have to put them in with striking contrast. So there's a balance there between how stark the details are versus how subtle they are. And that was something that I discussed quite a bit throughout this project. But this one is coming to an end here. Like I said, one of my favorite projects of the year. So the last bit is just doing some polishing, coming in, darkening the shadows, making some adjustments to the gradients, and just making sure that I captured the values really well. That was one of the important features of this project that I wanted to focus on, and the way the values came together in the end and smoothing out the gradients. Just the polishing stages is always my favorite, and I really like the way that this one came out. So I hope that you enjoyed doing it as well, if you were one of those people that followed along. And if you are one of those people that want to follow along with this project, then check out the art club. I'll have links for it in the description. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.